Joining us right now, Jenna Johnson of the Washington Post, political reporter covering the 2016 presidential campaign, and most specifically, well, you're covering big happenings in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, aren't you, Jenna?
I sure am.
Well, what's the story? Did he announce?
He sure did. I'm in Milwaukee right now, and early this morning, Scott Walker's campaign put out a video saying that he thinks the American people need a politician who's going to fight and win for them, and that's why he's running for president.
Now, it's more than just a video announcement, though. Is he having an event later today?
Yep. So later this evening, he's going to kind of county fairgrounds, expecting lots of supporters to show up, and that's where he'll give his big announcement speech and really get rolling with things.
Hey, Jen, this is Troy. So, a question for you. In the 21st century, in which so much is being done via social media, right, do reporters covering candidates really have to be there?
Oh, that's a great question. As I sit in a hotel room in downtown Milwaukee,
Do I really have to be here?
I'm here just in case something happens with the video feed, or
there you go.
More than that, just to talk to people who show up to this event. But yeah, everything is live streamed nowadays. You can get second-by-second updates on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, are they going to rope you and all the other members of the press in and corral you and lasso you like they did up in the Hillary parade in New Hampshire? That is one of the benefits of going on the road.
Exactly. We were actually the governor signed his budget last night, and a bunch of reporters stopped by that. And typically at Scott Walker events, reporters can kind of wander wherever they want, but they did have a rope up, and it had red, white, and blue ribbons on it, so it was a little bit more patriotic.
That's supposed to make you feel better about being corralled.
Exactly. Well, let's dive. So he did sign his budget yesterday, and I know a lot of people made a case that Scott Walker wanted to get the business of the state finished before he made his big announcement, and that is done. How much is Scott Walker running on his track record as governor of Wisconsin, and does that track record factor in and work well with the grassroots conservatives who will be making this decision in Iowa and in New Hampshire?
He's been governor for about 4 years and has done a lot of things that conservatives really love. Most notably, he took a lot of power away from public sector unions in his state. That's something that got him a lot of national attention. And when I'm out talking with voters, that's the first thing that they say that they like about him. But he's always also done other conservative-loving type things. He defunded Planned Parenthood. He has, expanded school voucher programs, so making it easier for families to take their public school funding to a private school, including religious schools. He's lowered property taxes and cut government spending. The flip side of that is that Democrats like to go after him for the current economy of his state. They say that Wisconsin's not performing as well as it should, and that at a certain point you've cut taxes too much and that you don't have enough money for really quality public schools and things like that.
Do people outside Wisconsin know much about him battling the public sector unions, Jenna?
More than you would think. He still has a lot of work to do getting his name out there and really introducing himself. But if we think back to when those battles were happening a couple years ago, it was all over the news for days, especially as 100,000 protesters were showing up and Democrats were fleeing the state. So a lot of times, people will hear Scott Walker's name and not really know. And then once they hear these things, it brings back all of those memories.
Our guest is Jenna Johnson, Washington Post, covering the big announcement today of Scott Walker. And money is so important to running for president, especially when you've got, $17, $18 29 candidates running for the party. How does Scott Walker stack up financially right now compared to some of the deeper-pocketed candidates like Jeb Bush and Ted Cruz?
He's nowhere near where Jeb Bush is. Bush has just really taken off. He has more than $100 million, and anyone else is going to have a really hard time matching that. So a lot of the Walker people that I talk with say, we're not going to match Jeb Bush, but we're going to try to hold our own. We're going to try to keep up with Ted Cruz, although he is outperforming a lot of other people right now, and keep up with Marco Rubio. So right now he has about $20 million. They're hoping that by the beginning of next year, that's $40 million. They're hoping that that's enough money to get his message out there and to do the things that they need to do.
I wonder if, with Donald Trump being in the debates, which I am so looking forward to, that doesn't maybe provide, and this goes counter to everything I've been saying all morning, which he just crowds out everybody else vocally, right? But maybe that will give some of these others a chance in the debates, right? If there are a lot of people watching, it'll give them a chance to introduce themselves to Republicans who may not know them yet, right? So those debates, because of the increased visibility with Donald Trump, may give them an opportunity they don't have. Because $20 million does not sound like a lot to me, right? When you think about how hard it is to break through out there, $20 million doesn't sound like much money to me. So you've got to look for those big earned opportunities like debates to make your mark.
Exactly. And the thing with a debate is it puts the top of the field all on a stage at one time, under the same circumstances. And you really get a feel for the differences between those candidates. With that said, there's going to be a lot of candidates on that stage, and they're not going to be having much time to talk and answer questions. So it'll be interesting to see just how much voters learn from that.
And given that, to bring it back to the Trump issue here that sort of looms in the
Which
headlines.
Trumps all others.
It seems to, Tori Clark. $1 in the jar for that one. Is there any word from the Walker campaign, Jenna Johnson, that Scott Walker will be addressing the issue of illegal immigration today in his announcement?
Not that I've heard of yet. He could. He has in the past. Immigration is kind of a tricky issue for him. He's the governor of Wisconsin, and not a border state, at least not a border state with Mexico. They do share some waterways with Canada, and he just hasn't had opportunities to deal with immigration. And a lot of the stances that he's taken over the years have kind of changed and evolved. Some people like to call him a flip-flopper on immigration. So given that, he might just stay away from the topic and not touch it.
I don't know
but he could. It's something voters really care about.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll be able to avoid it, considering that is topic A right now. Well, listen, Jenna Johnson, always good to have you. Enjoy the announcement today. It'll be interesting, and we'll be following your coverage there at the Washington Post.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And have some, Milwaukee's known for some lagers. You could have some nice cold beer there. It's the Germany of the Midwest.